It's very important to tell the truth. Tell the truth now. Tell the truth now. No bullshit all around. But sometimes I want to bullshit all around, around, around. And I really like it when people, take me serious, take me serious, take me serious. Well, it seems something's wrong around town. People are busy, people are angry, people are yeah. And I don't always feel all that great about my life. Hallelujah, hallelujah, so you like us, you're not an Indian, or maybe you are. Well, I was just thinking that maybe I'd get back to playing the argument with what's his nuts. Oh yeah, down. I like. I was thinking, I can't believe I'm getting that toe out the door to the real world. Stay inside. I paint all day. It hurts my heart. I stay inside. I never know what to do. Yeah. Here's my Loretta. Yeah. Here's the lyric. Yeah. Here's the pain relief. For the counter. Here's the fentanyl. Another pain reliever. I can't believe it. But I don't always use them. I wanna pay when I want it. I don't do it, so I stop it, and I then not prefer it. Thank you once again for not being entirely of your actor. I just thought that maybe philosophy would be a good thing to make fun of and plug my business in. And for dinner, folks, I'll say, yay. I am eating tortillas with hot sauce and refried beans. Yes, there's tomatoes and large mushrooms wrapped in a tortilla with pepper and all on it. Thanks for listening. Back to the show now. Na.
Blah blah blah. That's your business, and you can move with the momentum, and generally you're going to get agreement with it. But the actual placement of a value system upon experience, a squid isn't placing the value there. If they're in pain, their mind isn't outlining I'm in pain. They're just behaving. All they're doing is behaving. They're not thinking. They don't have a value system to place on it. They're just moving away from it. So they don't have an outline of saying this is bad, and this is good, and this is a 9 and a 1 and a 10 based on the measure. You know, they don't have that. And because they don't have that, It is all just what is. And so suffering is within the realm of life, and hence the value that life is truth, fact, that always is the case. There is a line of fracture outside of that. That's what I argue.
Look, I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying, I mean, I have to deal with this argument. Obviously, people go through things every day that I wouldn't go through, okay? I mean, that Ebert guy, you know, from whatever it was, that movie review guy, right? Yeah. I mean, he had his whole fucking jaw removed, right? The whole fucking thing extracted, all right? And he's got no jaw now. He can't eat normal, can't do all this shit, and he's really happy now because he can talk with his computer. And I'm just like, fuck. Oh, fuck! That's not living. That's fucking being the ultimate disgusting zombie. I mean, there's jawless zombies are attacking now. I mean, it's spooky as fucking goddamn hell to me. It's like my worst goddamn nightmare that I'd be trapped in a goddamn brain that couldn't figure out it's not worth it, fucker. You know, I mean, they got these whole hospital experiences where his fucking arteries explode. I mean, all this shit going on. I'm saying, I wouldn't put up with any of that. What, these people are insane. They're psychotic lunatics. What for? So you can talk with your computer and say what? You know, please rub my impotent dick? I mean, what the fuck? It's insane. It's crazy. It's fucking lunatic. I don't have words to express. All right, and then my second argument to you would be, you know, my grandmother did this to me in an argument, and it was fair fight. We were fighting about God, right? And she said, well, look, Jesus, you know, I mean, she was telling me about Jesus and blah, 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 and all this crap. But the bottom line was that she saw Jesus on her fucking bed. And so she finally conceded, well, yeah, you didn't see Jesus on your fucking bed, so I see why you don't have faith. Because, yeah, if I didn't see Jesus on my bed, I probably wouldn't believe in Jesus, but he actually was on my bed talking to me, so I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree, right? Because we're fucked, because you're not going to see what I saw. No, and I'm not going to see what you see, okay? I'm not going to see pain the way you see it. And especially suffering, okay? This word suffering is important because it's more than just pain. It's pain plus like that nauseous, achy, empty, hollow, cold feeling. You know, that feeling of being cold and empty and sick and ugh. I mean, that sucks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I give over the whole argument to you, but then I backstep and I don't, like, you know, it's one of your greatest videos for me, I mean, was where you were telling the kid, look, you keep saying this about you. It's not about you. And you were making a separation between the narcissistic, subjective experience that this person had developed as their evaluation towards the universe, and saying, no, there's a whole fucking universe of suffering out there, and it's all real, and it's all the case. It's happening, and yeah, all of that sucks. Okay. Period. What's the next sentence?
Is that all I got? There's my little laugh, like, oh, that was such a clever response. What is the next sentence? Where do we go from here? I don't like giving solutions to stuff. Thanks, by the way, guys.
Yeah, to you. It sucks. Only is a psychological problem on your part. It's an argumentative problem. In that, okay, period. It's like, that's why I'm like, when's Gary going to pack up and move and find himself a girlfriend or go buy prostitutes or have heroin church? You'll hook him up, right? You can hook him up. You got the money. Get Gary laid once a day.
Document 74 will hook you
or once a week or whatever. You made a good list. I used you as an example, Gary. I said, here's a guy, for the last 4 years, I've seen him on tubes, and he's saying the same stuff with a little bit of difference then as he is now, and there's an integrity to that, and there's a truth to that, and so forth. But I'm like, okay, couldn't somebody learn microbiology in a year and, you know, try to add to a school, you know, trying to do something? I mean, people are graduating when they're 70. Add to pharmacology. Add to the reduction of suffering.
Yeah, well, whatever. Bullshit. I see more merit, okay, in doing what I'm doing. Right? I don't see any point in feeding the beast. Why would I feed the zombies? I mean, that would be goddamn stupid. I want to stop the zombies.
heal the zombies is what I'm getting at.
Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm on a fucking, like, I'm stuck in a particular trajectory. To change my life's arrow or direction would be a big fucking hassle, and I could justify it however I want. But I'm just suggesting that a particular locational or paradigm shift, or maybe, drug, I'm just wondering about you as a person that does this. And if you enjoy it and it's what you want and you don't want to partake and you're going to stay the same, I call that the cardinality. Some people are more cardinal, they stay the same. Some people are more mutable, they change and they warp and so forth. And if that's how you want to go into your good night, so fucking be it. So fucking be it. That's you, Gary. And you know what? You got a great sculpture made of your life from here to fucking eternity, as far as I can tell. I think it's almost demarcation time for something to happen.
That's so base.
Something to, or a different type of contribution. But fuck me for saying it, fuck me for suggesting it, all the above, right? I'm just saying.
I can do the same thing. You gotta get off the clown trick, man. You gotta get into the spirituality of the lucidosity. And, you gotta start getting more linear with these paintings, okay? They're way too fucking goddamn horizontal. You gotta get more vertical. You're just way too narrow, way too stuck in this plane thing. You gotta three-dimensionalize and such. I mean, come on, what the fuck? Backseat driver, thank you very much.
Gary and I almost have our clown act together. that'd be great. I guess he's got too many people already on the Gary train. That's okay, I'm going to be doing the mic.
I mean, whatever. What the fuck is going on in my little whacked neurology? And I know that it doesn't matter what the fucking cheese doodle is made out of. I'm going to chase it because I'm addicted little cheese doodle eater. And that's all it is. It's just chasing bullshit. And I just don't want to be chasing it for another million years. I want off this stupid ride for good. I don't want to ever wake up on this fucking turd-covered shithole again.
Good, then he solved it. Fucking turn it off. Fucking, you don't have to do this ever again. Like, we don't need to see another update video on how shitty shit everything is and how we should stop doing.
Stop.
Sure.
Well, that's tough shit, Gary, because I'm developing resurrection technology, and I'm going to resurrect you, and until you change your mind,
fucking square. Yeah, I'm gonna probably pull your fucking guts out and I'll wrap them around your goddamn neck.
And I'll make you live till you're 1,000,000 years old, and then you can kill me as many times as you want. It'll be like,
I'll kill you. It's like a Star Trek episode, right? We'll just chase each other through time, killing each other, right? That episode, remember that episode where the guy hated the other guy, or it was himself, and he was killing himself forever? Yeah, that's what we'll do.
That's what we'll do until we die.
Yeah. I have a knife that's as sharp as a knife, and I'm going to stab you with it 1,000,000,000,000 times.
Well, I'm going to come visit you, Gary. I'm going to come visit you, and if you want to kill me with your knife, you do that. Or you can make me a nice cup of shit drink, because you live in a shit world and you get a shit pile, so you can get.
I got some nice, I got some 4x8 plywood, so I'll make you a little plank you can lie on, because you really do look like you're fucked. I really gotta give you credit. I don't even know how you paint. You're just like, I can't really move. But, I can still twiddle my finger.
Oh, this is another thing, okay? The whole... balloon, and that's different than chasing the cheese, but they might cross over. Chasing the pink balloon is chasing an idealism. Like, I'm motivated to paint a painting, right? So I think, am I chasing a pink balloon because it's like you said, you habituated to a painting or doing certain things, and I don't really feel like it's a pink balloon, like I'm mega gratified. I'm a little gratified, but I'm sitting there thinking, like, what's the gradation from the idea of saying pink balloon or chasing the cheese, or just kind of meditating in the corner where you're not chasing the pink balloon, and then where you're chasing the brown neon shit balloon. It's like, oh, everything's shit. Let's chase that one down for a while. Like, I just fucking shit on my tail because I'm a dog. Now I'm going to chase my tail because, boy, it smells like shit, and I love shit, and the world's shit.
Yeah.
Saying, well, this is where we're going to keep breaking the rules. We're going to keep arguing personal perceptions, and that's going to get in trouble, okay? Because then the philosophy gets really fucked. And I know it's always a danger that people can just keep saying, well, you're too dark, and I'll just say, well, you're too light. You're too dark, and you're too light. You're too dark, and you're too light. We just go back and forth to how much blood we should see, and how much we think the blood should smell, and how much the blood weighs. And, this is going to be an endless argument, I see. It's going to be really hard to argue through people's psychological, game-playing psychology. Yeah, it's hard to argue through that, okay? I'm just saying, if you look at the facts of this game, that's what it is. I am not pleased that all the romantic notions and all the other things I call beautiful, I have to accept are just silly notions in my fucking head. I don't like having to accept that, but it's the goddamn truth.
Okay, well, what I was thinking was, if you've already said your argument 3,000 videos long, you don't know what else to do, maybe you could preface so no one's going to question your integrity about your argument. You could preface the video or set up a series of videos where you are saying, look, I'm going to dive into the psychology and talk about the different psychologies, but and blend it in with the argument, but with the caveat that you're actually not talking about the argument. You're blending it in somehow, so you can get into trouble, so you can change something, and take, instead of painting a painting with paint, you paint a paint with some paint and some blood and some piss and vinegar and blah, blah, blah. I'm I'm not trying to be your therapist here, but I'm trying to move the post a little bit towards your expression of what would it mean if you did bring in the genre and the category of the distinction between your personality, and that's why I brought up, like, what's the difference between Benatar's argument and Gary's argument and Metamorph's argument for these same things, like why not get in and no one's going to cherry pick and put together video and say,
know when it's dangerous. I'm just saying there's dangerous parts in all of this stuff, but I'm just saying that the Benatar argument in and of itself is pretty safe, okay? The idea that you're the fail-safe position, the fail-safe, like, don't build the nuclear power plants, right? There's a risk here. The fail-safe, no harm, right? No harm can be done if you don't open this door. So that argument to me is solid. Okay, if you want to be a safe person, this is the choice. Okay, if you want to, if you first want to do no harm, this is the door to open. And I'm just saying that's the progression of this logic. And then as you go further and further, you have to get into this gnarly psychology stuff. So the Benatar thing is really plain old logic. I mean, that's just dead solid. And then
74, 74, don't you just love document 74?
Start getting you're made out of bullshit and that your pains are real. Yeah.
By the way, Jim, the books are pretty dandy. I really like the Glass Bead game.
That's even more, okay, but somehow I've grown to have a great despise for this DNA molecule. Now, what gave me that despise, all right, you know, I would argue the facts gave it to me, the fact that there was nothing redeeming in it. So you look at a tree, you still see a tree, little fluffy leaves, nice little wind blowing, little bird houses, blah, 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 blah. I see the blood of 4 billion years of senseless, insane evolution. All right? So we see different things. So we cannot derive the same experience from our lives because we see the world differently because of what we see philosophically.
Yeah, I dig that.
Here, I'm with you on that. I was hoping that you wouldn't sum it up, you know, in you know, less than 5 minutes, because, you know, that's what you do. But I will say that, and it's okay if you point, you know, it's kind of like I point to the tree and I see the birdies and all this other shit, and you look at it and you see the blood. Well, you point at the Benatar argument and go, oh, it's really fucking solid. And I point at the Benatar problem and go, oh, there's a non-identity issue, and then his counter-response is the counter-positive argument, and so that's got a problem. I'm going to show how that's got a problem. So there's a fracture within the Benatarian argument, and then that leads me back to the idea of a limit of a paradigm or an axiom or a belief system, and how, you know, to some point, it's still based on an accepting of some view. You have to have an initial accepting of some axiom. Like, for example, to do mathematics, there is an exception. Like, you have to use a base 10 system instead of a base 8 system or something like that to do the calculations. And it's this idea of how it is and what it is we're going to fundamentally, on an axiomatic level, accept as root. And I mean, you're right, we're different because we're going to see these differences. And I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. And if you want to say that I'm the furthest guy from liking the you know, the Red Sox or any other sports team, and I don't feel like I'm like sniffing my ass right up the alley of the regular cheese game in life either. I feel like I'm probably as far off as anybody else he's close to being homeless. So I don't feel like I'm matched to that personally. So I don't feel like that's a counter, but I do definitely feel like I'm in a different camp than you. Like I'm not in the same boat. We're in different boats, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm waving the wrong flag and it's pissing you off, or maybe I'm not making enough sense, because I think that you can sum shit up really quickly and line it up, but my seeing these distinctions and these differences, and it's instead of just going, oh, the tree's beautiful and it's got the bird and shit, like, to me it's like, oh fuck, the Benatarian problem, I got the non-identity problem, like, I got to work on that. Then I got to work on the counter to the counter argument, the contrapositive argument. Like, I got to spend fucking 20, 30 minutes on it, and then I get outside Inmendham commenting on my videos. Fuck, if you can't say it in 10 minutes, don't say it at all. Before you know it, half my audience is put to sleep. It doesn't fucking matter anyway. And so I'm like, I better shorten this up. I can't figure out how to shorten it up anymore. It's a real pain in the fucking ass.
We all have our communication issues. Actually, you get away with pretty long videos. These are sort of interesting to listen to. Anyway, partly because there is a little bit of chaos. You don't know exactly where you're going or what the fuck you're talking about, and you're kind of thinking, well, maybe he's going to make it make sense this time. And then sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you give up in mid 5 minutes in, and you just kind of say, "Whoops, I forgot to put a worm on this hook." Anyway, regardless, but look, I'm not going to re-argue the Benatar thing. I'm just saying that's rock solid. I'm sorry, it's a fail-safe. You can't argue with the fail-safeness of it.
Well, he pointed out a few things earlier. I can't remember what he called them. Some kind of weird philosophical titles. I mean, do you care to elaborate on any of those points here? Because I haven't heard anything like that before.
Yeah, I'd like to know which actual thing, part of Benatar's argument, you actually disagree with. And if you could say a little about that, that'd be great.
Well, look, I mean, his point is that you're talking about what ifs, and you're talking about non-existence. It's okay. These are non-real entities that you're saying have been improved because they don't exist. I mean, so yeah, that sort of has a catch to it. You sort of say, well, what the fuck are you talking about? How can something that doesn't exist benefit from something? I mean, that's ludicrous. That's like saying the moon benefited. I mean, fuck, that's stupid. The moon is not experiencing. So neither are the non-existent. So there can't be a benefit to a non-existent.
Yeah.
So that's the simplicity of it. But yeah, obviously
But that's not the entirety of the argument. That's just the identity problem. That's not the contrapositive. Not that I'm holding it. I just like to argue it. La 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 la. I like to argue it. I like my coffee. My feet are burning. I feel like
from our perspective, that's a good thing. So if you prevent negatives, that's automatically a good thing. And the only question is any value to the positive. Do the positives have any real value that oblige them to exist? And they only have value to people who are alive. You have to be alive to need to be alive. If you're not alive, you don't need to be alive. That's the trick here. So as long as you deal with that issue, so let me hear what you say to that. What do you say to the point that you have to be alive to need to be alive?
What do you, okay. Well, first of all, I just wanted to, I would backtrack on what it is you're saying, because once again, you're pointing, when you're saying an unnecessary harm, you're pointing, I'll use your term, at the moon, because you're once again, you're going to reference an unnecessary harm to a projected paradigm of what it is to be human, and point to the non-humanness, the nothingness that could be created as opposed to being imposed upon, right? You're pointing to the moon again, and you're importing the word harm, or unnecessary, right? You're starting out with that logic as opposed to, saying, okay, here's a zygote, this thing's going to suffer, did you guys have to fuck and make a zygote, right? And say, well, no, we didn't have to, but we did, and here it is. And so the whole point, the contrapositive argument, is that there's still whatever adjective is inserted to make the ethical argument to not have kids pointing to a pre-existent possible future, right? Because it's framed as the kid is coming into X world, right? But it's assuming something subjective like their harm. Well, in my universe, since there is this separation where there's experiences where, normally this is accepted as a harm, then I know I'm probably not alone.
Now I am alone. I remember that.
When I don't see it as a harm, so they're using the contrapositive argument to point to and insert at their discretion whatever adjective they want. In this case, it's the word unnecessary, right? And so, I mean, I know what it is.
I just don't see the one like that. Yeah, well, actually, I wonder sometimes. You know, it's a great thing to do, man. Sorry, it's a bit piggish there. Okay, on to the next, everybody. I guess, I mean, for the second half of this video, I could talk a little bit. It's just so weird to skip paradigms, but to land on one for so long that has so much particular endurance is really kind of interesting and kind of fun, maybe, baby, la da da, la da da, da da, maybe, maybe, baby, maybe, maybe, baby, maybe, 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 baby, maybe I'm all wrong and I just right. Maybe I'm all alone and I go on great. Cause no man nothing outside. The work is on, no matter what you say. All of the you gotta touch up, die. My parents like show tunes so much. Ooh, Mission Impossible. Okay, sorry for the delay. Let me get back to the mega argumentation and stuff. A sec. I'm trying to get through this autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, so. Because to be a libeler, I hate it with my heart. From Sherburne town, where I now dwell, my name do I put here. Without offense, your real friend, it is Peter Folger. My elder brothers were all put apprentices to different trades. I was put to grammar school of 8 years of my age, my father intending to devote me as the tithe of his sons to the service of the church. My earlier readiness in learning to read, which must have been very early as I do not remember when I could not read, and the opinion of all his friends that I should certainly make a good scholar, encouraged him in this purpose of his. My Uncle Benjamin, too, approved of it, and proposed to give me all of his shorthand volumes of sermons, I suppose as a stock to set up with. If I would learn his character, I continued. However, at the grammar school, not quite 1 year. In that time, I had risen gradually from the middle of the class of that year to be the head of it, and Father was removed into the next class above it. In order to go with that into the third or the end of the year, but my father, in the meantime, from a view of the expense of his college education, which having so large a family, he could not well afford, and the mean living many so educated were afterward able to obtain, reasons that he gave to his friends in my hearing, altered his first intention, took me from the grammar school and sent me to the school for writing and arithmetic kept by a then famous man, Mr. G.O. Brownell. Very successful in his profession generally, and that by mild, encouraging methods, under him on acquiring fair writing pretty soon. But I failed in the arithmetic and made no progress in it. At 10 years old, I was taken home to assist my father in his business, which was that of a tallow chandler and soup boiler, a business he was not bred to, but had assumed on his arrival in the New England, and on finding his dying trade would not maintain his family, because in little request, accordingly, I was employed in cutting wick for the candles, filling the dip molds and the molds for cast candles, attending the shop, going of errands, and seed. All right. Well, we're going to stop there. Thank you for listening. And back to the action. Let's play the game. Game on. Game continues. Tonight.
Is, but I'm just trying to say it like this. It goes, if one has a beard, then one exists. If one does not exist, one does not have a beard. But Santa Claus has a beard, but he doesn't exist. So we have this displacement of pointing to a fiction or pointing back to the syntax itself, right? And so I'm just looking at where the X factor, which is called the one, if one is born, it's firstly going to be called unnecessary, as opposed to one is born, right? So there's this insertion of this adjective that's always there, and I'm realizing that's done by somebody that sees the universe as starting out as suffering, right? Starting out as they're going to make a distinction between necessity and non-necessity.
Can I get a word?
So there's a necessity to call it an unnecessity. And I don't know, like that's a synopsis. Like I said, I have videos where I outline it. They are zigzaggy. I should probably lay it out again so people can see what it is I'm saying.
Regardless of the word unnecessary, don't you agree that there is going to be some form of suffering regardless of whether or not you want to call it unnecessary? Do you agree that there will be suffering when you choose your life?
We know what the probabilities are, okay? You keep talking about I case and it's not isolated. We know what the probabilities are, right? So that's the case.
It's not probability, it's a generalization that's framed as a probability.
Yeah!
Generalization or probability doesn't matter what you call it. It is the likely outcome. And you have to go with the likely, and it's only rational. It's irrational to go with the unlikely, the bizarre, the extravagant. So you're saying there's a possibility that this new creation will not be suffering, that it will find life to be all pleasant, and it will not chase synthetic Cheetos. I'm saying that the probability is that it will be obsessed with synthetic cheese and that it will in fact suffer. He's going to be pissed off again.
Okay, at your convenience, Gary. It's like at your convenience, you will point to the elephant. I would want to say, no, let's talk about probability of this being a normal kid that doesn't have autism, and it's in a normal family, and it lives in a community that has food, and it's convenience, you tend to do that, but then at your convenience, you will turn it against me when now I'm pointing to the exception and saying,
No, but be fair to my argument, okay? I'm pretty clear. I basically said if I wouldn't live the life, I would have no right to impose it or to allow it to be imposed. That's just logical. So I'm saying I wouldn't live that life. So if I subsidize or allow somebody else without even objecting, to impose that, so if I don't see any possibility of that being a good thing, and I don't do anything to stop it. Again, back to the Frankenstein analogy. No good citizen just sits back and says, go ahead, Frankie, raise the dead. I mean, that would be logic. The good citizen says, let's stop this fucker. And he doesn't stop him by jabbing Frankenstein. He jabs, the monster, he jabs the goddamn mad scientist doctor, the guy producing the damn thing. You go after the producer.
Okay, so you equate life and all humans now to being Frankenstein. It's like you're living in my clown painting. You're the
that it's a risk equation and a certain probability will be imposed. Somebody will be forced to pick the short straw. You will never be saying, I'm going to pick these straws and I'm going to sit there and dole them out now. I'm saying I wouldn't wish to be in line to play the game. I don't want to play the short straw game. All right? Fuck that. All right? It's a stupid, idiotic, goddamn scenario. Until you take the short straw the fuck out of the game, I'm not playing the game. I'm not endorsing the game. I'm not allowing somebody to impose the game. Because it's a stupid, idiotic, short straw game. Okay, so, I've used plenty of analogies describing this as a misfortune that happens to a minority of the outcomes, okay? For every one Frankenstein, there's 10 good little citizens who are proper little capitalists and are, using their iPod appropriately. And then there's one Frankenstein for every 10 who's a miserable motherfucker who goes apeshit when somebody lights their cigarette.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing you. And yeah, okay, the probability. When I came into the room, you're also talking about, let's get these people together, line them up. We're going to add 6 bullets to a Russian roulette, and so all of us lose, right? That was where you laughed, because the idea...
Yes, it was not philosophy, okay? That wasn't philosophy then. It really wasn't. I wasn't doing philosophy then. I was talking about me personally and how fed up I am with assholes.
Okay. Well, look, that's how I parsed the universe. You're giving me the parsing that you intended by that. Okay, now, see, the thing is, once again, I got to back up. Like I said, I'm going to give you over the entirety of the argument. I'm giving it all over to you. Then I'm taking a back step from it to see if there's any distinctions here that I might draw as a difference or pull out of this. And the thing that I pull out is the insertion of the word imposition, that a consciousness is imposed upon. I am categorically against the notion that a consciousness comes into being. It is not imposed upon. It can sense life. Life can be considered to be imposed upon, but a consciousness by itself is not imposed upon. It comes about.
Right. So I can
Okay, man, I'm just saying, this is where I'm coming from. Now, if people don't like it, that's fine. But all I'm saying is there's something dogmatic and reiterative, and somebody picked up the word imposition, because the Buddha said life-suffering, so now life-suffering. Somebody said it's an imposition, now other people are repeating it, and I'm simply saying, look, whether or not the kid's fucked up, whether or not it turns out to be a squid, whether or not it's jackknifed and its nerves are in constant pain, whatever it is, a consciousness comes about. It's already started before it's even aware of itself. So the notion that it was imposed upon is something that is lingually created.
Such major gaps in there. Here comes the beast. 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 Oh, what am I talking about? I do not know. I am holding postures because I can, you know. La 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 la.
Later on down the line.
consciousness from that initiation, the consciousness that initiates the act that will produce the new consciousness. And it's a volition act, so it has to be acceptable to call it imposition because it's an act of volition. So if you're going to discount and go back to the deterministic universe and take away all our independence and say we can't stop ourselves, we can't help ourselves, well, the point is I'm reading the script that hopefully will compel other people to stop themselves. We'll give them pause. We'll give them a moment's thought that might save the next me from being here. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm projecting onto these other consciousness through my reading of my script that they should take a little bit of time and think about what the fuck they're goddamn doing.
Baker's Man. Da 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 Baker's Man. Da 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 Baker's Man. Da 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 Baker's Man. Baker's Man. Baker's Man.
See now you start. You gave a little bit and you called it something else. You know, like starting a consciousness. But at the end, there's imposition. Now, imposition is based, it reverberates off the adjective of unnecessity of harm, or unnecessary harm makes it an imposition. But if the like you said, the imagined, pointing to the moon, imagining the consciousness being like yourself, which by the way is absurd, but close enough to yourself as to view the world as shit, then one can use the word unnecessary, plant it in when they're pointing to the moon, which is what the contrapositive argument is all about, and then they bounce it off of, instead of you saying they integrated, or whatever other word you used, which had a different connotation.
Bounce technique.
That's, you use that.
It sure sounds like one.
Into semantics, okay? We're going to get into, people are posting definitions of the word imposition now. So let's just stick to the word risk, okay? When you initiate a consciousness, you embrace a risk, okay? There's risk tied to the initiation. All right, so let's just talk about the risk being the imposition. Let's not talk about anything else but the risk, okay, that is now imposed on the consciousness. It will get a short straw or it'll get a long straw. You're imposing the risk of what straw it will get.
Imposing the risk is fine. Impose the risk. As long as you got another word that you're going to fit in there in between, life is an imposition. It's okay to say life is imposing a risk. Something like that. Throw in the other adjective so that the equation that
It's going to put in a happy risk. I was going to put in a risky risk. What am I saying? I wonder. What is the codex say? Yo yo. I only come here once to record my videos. How to deal
life, zeitgeist, and lives, which people evaluate differently. And some people then formulate, this is a new topic shift, a teleology of saying even the risk and the passing on, that comes.
Yeah, that's how I'm passing it. That's how they justify having kids, you know? It's kind of what they do.
Consciousness, suffering. If you read The Brave New World, everyone's happy, everyone's high, no one's in trouble, no one's dying. It's all a beautiful, futuristic teleology. That's the difference between the microwave and the space shuttle being born and new painkillers being built and softer
and
is that if it were even possible that was some sort of likely destiny for the human race, which I think it's preposterous on its face. Let's just say it was likely that human beings could achieve some sort of benign, 1,000 times more elegant lifestyle than they're living.
World, and then you try to correct the world, Gary. And then you don't want to forecast it as better. You don't think that the correction is going to be better out.
It would be an incremental, a tiny, one more step up the ladder for that human being to be exactly like me. And just say, wait a minute, we don't need to do any of this. Because we solve the whole need equation by not creating the need. There is no need to create the need. We don't have to maintain the need. The need doesn't need to be perpetuated. So just stop the need, and you're satisfied all the need.
Like I said, I'll give it over to you when you're referring to the need. Why create need machines? But then when I change the word need to animation, like why create animation for animation's sake? Like why, we're sentient, we're moving. We're figuring out our area. Why create?
To tighten these things, like these things are so loose.
Animation for animation's sake.
Flat.
That you have this fight. You have some reason or justification to not kill yourself and to live longer. And that same justification is what one transfers to the notion, a grander, like a peripheral notion about what life is and where life's going and what comforts are. And certainly parents are weighing the risk. They know the value of what it is they're doing, but they perpetuate the process anyway. And I'm not going to say all parents know. I mean, Heroin sure said, oh yeah, there's all these fucking dipshit kids and they don't know fucking shit and they're giving birth. True. I'm talking about mitigated circumstances. I'm talking about a Zionist teleology, some future utopia. And when I look around and I'm like, wow, look at all of this that I already have compared to caveman days. And I'm like, I wonder whether or not this is hurting me or harming me. Or I look at it as, look at the direction and all the additives and all the engineering that's happened that make all of this wonderful stuff and I have suffered all of this pain, and I'm still getting up and moving through it, and I feel really good. And I'm like, I would like to take the odds myself and have children. I believe it's, it's like the world's a rough place, but not all the world's a rough place. I think I could take it upon myself. Your position, the very argument itself, runs,
Yep, blah, blah,
just
blah.
headstrong into the face of that. So I listen to it, but then I backstep and I reassess and think,
Backstep and
no,
reassess.
move forward, because if child is like parent,
wonderful wish, guys. Let's all pretend it's going to be okay when it's not.
It's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. I'm not okay. I mean, I'm not okay, and my parents are still alive. They watch me go through this. They're like, wow, look at all that fucking suffering. This really sucks. Sucks for him. They just suck it up. I mean, same reason, suicide parents.
They've realized the whole thing was a hard mistake. I mean, they've gotten it. Okay, they're try, and they've seen enough of life and the whole thing, and they're still happy. They live their life strong. They're in their 90s, and they're plugging right along. Break their hips, and they get right back up and say, "Do it again. And go ahead, fuck me over. Go ahead." I mean, my mother broke her hip twice this year, twice. Right? And right now she's on a beach picking up shells. Okay, so yeah, but they know it's bullshit. I mean, they know the game is stupid.
Then at some point it just becomes, words. It becomes a narrative.
If they could undo it, this whole having babies thing, they would have lived their lives. They would have enjoyed their beach walking. They would have done it without this whole perpetuated thing. Okay, I'm just saying, in hindsight, even though they've had really good lives and they got fairly lucky, they know better. Grandkids with my sister. Well, it's not theirs to opine on. I obliged them to opine on my existence, and so I provoked I obliged them to answer some questions, and I got the answers I was satisfied with.
I'm posting this whole thing. Why do this to myself and everyone else? And everyone else. Nope.
Okay, so having a child, including the falling down and breaking a hip and getting back up again, do they have anything to say about the notion of the genetic win or what they might call the natural process?
Not to have been point, but just that the better not to have been point, and they're very pleasant, and I will live out my existence bullshitty way, okay? But I'm just saying, they're past understanding the point of the game.
Maybe they're out of their minds. Although, I mean, I don't know. I'm just
saying that it really is a key thing. It really is. I mean, you either get this or you don't get this. So if you don't get it, then you think there's some kind of point in imposing it on some next generation so they can jump through the same idiotic, dumb hoops and get stepped on by the same stupid elephant and whatever else fucking broke their feet. And fucking for what? For what? For what? For what? For what? For what? What?
You missed a what?
Microwave for the campaigning for the extension of humanity to live long and prosper.
Yeah, let's do it. We do it to Star Trek. Yeah, that's pretty good. Because the Enterprise has it written down as its prime directive.
All right, well, let me ask you this, Gary, because I'll agree to disagree, and then I'll get back to painting and listen to where you go. But just out of curiosity, because I was speculating with somebody that if you accidentally knocked somebody up and gave birth before you were able to, whack her in the stomach or put something in her drink to fucking kill the baby or whatever the fuck you might do, I don't know. But if you accidentally knock somebody up, see how I characterize you in a negative light, adding the connotation to you that way. Thank you for nodding. Okay, but anyway, my point is this. Is there any aspect of you, had you had kids, and by now probably grandkids of your own, like Metamorph, is there any part of your psychology that you might think was accord or in tune or reflecting a natural process such that you would say, this somehow makes me feel, because you'll imagine all this imposition.
Wow, I didn't.
And all this, can you
talk like that?
Says, oh, well, the kids that had kids, we have that natural feeling to our kids that did not have kids, we will consider their obligement, and we will admit to them what it is they need to hear because they are in the state that they are. And do you feel like if you did have a legacy and that the tree of humanity or the fire of humanity burned through your dick and into a future bloodline, that somehow that extension, knowing that right now you're at the end of the tree and that it's going to die, and then, it's kind of like a woman.
Enough. Probably long way to ask a simple question. First off, I don't think there is any natural need to do this reproducing thing, right? 40,000 years ago, I would be thinking about, polishing my wiener. I wouldn't be thinking about having a baby.